thanks for watching BSGcast. I'm Matt, he's Matt, and let's get started.
All right, this week we're talking about the second to last episode of this series here, Daybreak Part 1.
Oh my God!
And from the very first frame, we knew something was different.
Yes, with flashbacks galore and lots of build up to next week's finale, this episode was intense, but esoteric and peaceful as well.
Which was very unexpected.
Absolutely. Speaking of which, we're coming to you live from the middle of South by Southwest here in the lobby of the Hilton, so don't be surprised or distracted by the unfamiliar faces in the background.
All right, let's get right into Fan of the Week.
So as we get closer and closer to the end, the comments are getting crazier all the time.
Now, it's not just in volume, but in content and similarity.
Exactly. It's like everyone is starting to feel the same vibe and see the same things, which, I mean, I guess it's a good thing.
It's like something's pulling the strings. I don't know. Now, Brian D. reminded us
Common ether.
Exactly. Brian D. reminded us of a great piece of nuance from when Ty heard that Dying 8's final word, too much confusion. Just that I.
That ether again.
Ty's I.
Anyway, we loved Tron82's comment about the suspicious similarities between Kara and Baltar and why they're still alive.
Now, our favorite one was from Xanathosis, which is picking up on the same vibe that so many people are, that Cavil is a pawn, and he's answering to someone higher up the food chain, but who is it? Is it the original Centurions? Is it some kind of imperious leader?
A one true god, perhaps? Hopefully we'll find out next week.
Now, congrats, Xanathosis. We just basically get to give you a hot Alienware t-shirt and a chance at winning the Alienware gaming machine that we're giving away in just over a week.
Because we're bumping into a bunch of fans of BSG while we're here at South by Southwest, we thought we'd add a few live comments to the mix to be eligible for next week's Fan of the Week.
They're going to get Hera back, and they're going to end up somehow living together, and we're going to find out we're all hybrids to some extent.
I think they've neutered too many characters this year. You know, Starbuck isn't as badass, and either has been Apollo, and the only badass has been Adama. But I want the badassery to come back and make it awesome again.
My theory is that she is, I think, Daniel's daughter. Like, that is totally, like, my thought, like, you know, because they never really showed that, but the guy sitting with her at the piano, like, you know, until you see the end of that, when you realize that it was all up here, you're like, okay, two and two start clicking together. And like I was just telling you a minute ago, when she plays that song and everyone, like, you know, Ty, and they're all like, what the? I'm like, I jumped off the couch. I'm like, yes, like that, it's awesome. Like, I want that. I just want that for my ringtone now.
Cavil dies. Somehow, Cavil dies. I don't care how it happens. The man must die. And that's the way I think it should end.
I just know one thing. We're going to see the mother Battlestar crash into that damn Cylon homeworld in some fashion with Adama and Rosalind holding hands on board the CIC. That is my bet. I'm going all in on that one scene.
When the words Caprica before the fall came up on the screen, the entire Alamo Drafthouse let out a gasp of awe and amazement.
Oh, seriously. And as awesome as they were, usually when we see flashbacks, they're immediately critical to the storyline, but within the context of Daybreak Part 1, I didn't really see where they fit in.
Yeah, they were officially
yet,
kind of pointless in this episode, but we can be pretty confident that those tidbits are essential in Daybreak Part 2.
We can only hope. Although with only 2 hours left and a lot of questions still left unanswered, maybe this is actually teeing us up for stories in the plan.
Even that bit about Lee and the pigeon in his room?
I
don't
just
know.
don't get that.
All right, well, who did we see? We got flashbacks from a lot of our characters that have big questions hanging over their heads still. We got Starbuck, Lee, Rosalind, Anders, we got Baltar, we got Caprica 6.
Yeah, by way of those characters, we were introduced to a few new ones, like Julius Baltar and the really young Rosalind sisters.
Too young?
Possibly. That Shirley Temple dress that Laura was in didn't really make her look any younger, and those girls could have been her daughters.
Yeah, no kidding. Now, seeing
Anyway.
Anders in a whole different kind of tub, being so philosophical and a bit less hybrid-like in how he was talking about playing Pyramid was kind of refreshing.
Absolutely.
Full sentences.
Yeah, exactly. And we did see a familiar face with Zach Adama.
That's true. Now, all these stories seem kind of, I dare say, humdrum, with the exception of Baltar being hilarious.
Yeah, Baltar's
with Baltar
Papa,
Sr. Wow.
Daddy Baltar. And Rosalind's super young sisters and the Adama dinner party were a bit of character building that hopefully comes back around next week. And was that Starbucks apartment that we saw?
Or do all Caprican apartments just have the same
I was really
floor
hoping for
plan?
Leoben, just walking in there.
Yeah, more Leoben. Now, what a kick-ass take-charge way Six managed to win Baltar's heart. Like, that was just, like, you can see why Baltar respected her and gave her information, because that was hilarious. And watching him actually admit one of the weirdest fallacies of the entire series, the fact that Baltar doesn't seem to call Six anything that resembles a human name.
He even asks her, I forgot your name. Yeah. Pretty funny. But getting to meet Julius Baltar and seeing that point of vulnerability in Gaius is pretty unexpected.
And having elements of that class warfare between Erewhon farmers and Caprican intellectuals come back was a nice touch.
Absolutely. But at this stage in the game, what do these stories have to do with the end game? Is there a theme of loss that will be important in part 2?
Even though half of this episode was flashback, the other half was pure setup for the knockdown, drag-out storyline that will be putting the battle back into Battlestar
and based
Galactica.
on that preview, there's going to be total bloodshed. In one corner, we've got a hornet's nest of Cylons on the lip of a black hole, all guarding this last stronghold. And it looks a lot like, I don't know, 3 lonely bastards huddling around Hera, really.
Yeah, it was pretty funny to just see Simon, Doral, and Cavill in a room by themselves, gawking at a child.
Yeah, we're supposed to remember that there's millions of each model, plus Centurions and Raiders and Hybrids, but right now the enemy forces just feel like a priest, a doctor, and a publicist in a big empty room.
Which does kind of sound like the start of a joke.
Absolutely. Now, in the other corner, we're looking at a crippled Battlestar ready to tear itself apart from just one last FTL jump, along with a single newly repaired base ship.
In Battlestar Galactica, we've seen some pretty amazing war strategies. Between the brilliance of the Starbuck maneuver during Hand of God and the balls-out wildness of the Adama maneuver during Exodus, our heroes tend to impress when they're the underdogs. But this...
Yeah. Adama's right when he says it's likely to be a one-way trip, because this one looks pretty grim.
And that scene when he and Starbuck were laying down the red duct tape for volunteers, that was intense. But we can be pretty sure there's going to be enough volunteers to man Galactica and her Vipers.
Yeah, absolutely. Plus the Toasters on the base star don't have much chance of survival without Hera, so they've got to be in for sure.
Yeah, so, you know what, I'm surprised that there wasn't a grand gesture from Baltar during that volunteer scene.
I know, I was really waiting for that.
I kept looking at him, expecting for it to happen, and then...
For him to prove Lee wrong, essentially.
Exactly.
And what a great line he had while talking to Lee in that, little back room about the quorum seat, saying, you're right, I wouldn't trust me either.
Now, I thought it was an interesting decision not to show exactly how the location of the Cylon colony was discovered.
Yeah, did Anders straight up tell them coordinates, or was Starbuck's primer of music the key?
Yeah,
it'd be nice to actually know that.
Hopefully there's a deleted scene, and that's not just some kind of story leak.
Seriously, I don't know if they deleted it in favor of Lee versus Pigeon.
That's a bit weird.
Yeah.
All right, next week is the end of the party, ladies and gentlemen, and we are pretty sure it's all ending in tears.
Absolutely. The preview is suitably vague, with no real spoilers or plot details, but I think we all know what's coming.
Now, we'll be at the Frack Party in Toronto for March 20th, where we'll be shooting an immediate BSGcast at the very end of the episode, just to get reactions of fellow fans as soon as the hammer drops.
Absolutely. Then we'll be doing a full-on BSGcast a few days later, as usual, where we'll be giving away our grand prize, Alienware gaming machine.
Absolutely. So stay tuned, guys. We can't wait to see how it all goes down with you.